Good morning. Today I'd like to share some of my journey on the PTCA anti-racism spiritual pilgrimage. Over 180 people from our presbytery are on this journey with me, including several Valley members. My inspiration for presenting this Minute for Mission was one word that I had chosen to focus upon during 2020, which was inspiration. I've been choosing one word each year instead of making New Year's resolutions. I had been on a quest to learn more about racism, white privilege, and how both myself and the church have perpetuated racism, and the spiritual pilgrimage inspired me to do more work on anti racism. This journey has been a challenging one. I have had to learn to see history in a completely different way, discovering that my worldview, my white privilege, my myopic understandings, and my static knowledge that have been my historical foundation mirrored white society to the derogation of other races and cultures. This pilgrimage opened me to a different way of looking at history, which focuses on the thriving of all peoples, especially those marginalized from power. For example, the indigenous people's relation to land and water is that they are their relatives and kin, whereas white man's worldview is that land and water are things to be controlled as a possession. The treaties with the indigenous peoples were written by white men to ensure they could control the land and water of the tribes and were written in violation of the kinship that the indigenous peoples have had with land and water. In Minnesota, the Dakota and Ojibwe tribes were not aware that their worldview was so far afield from white man's. When that difference was discovered, the treaties had already been written in American law, translated from English and back into both tribal languages, back into English, signed by all, and finally voted into American law. If any of you have read an old or even a new legal document, you've experienced just a bit of what the indigenous people experienced at understanding the treaties they had signed. They trusted the white men to honor their code of humanity, but later found that those treaties were kidnapping their kin, and now they are in legal fights to regain their custody back into their kinship circle. One such treaty battle that is being fought is right here in Minnesota. It is the one that allows the Enbridge pipeline, a 340-mile oil pipeline replacement, and that runs from Canada through Minnesota and to Enbridge's terminal in Superior, Wisconsin. It runs through indigenous lands and will impact pollution and degradation of the land and water, as well as the tribe's burial grounds. I disagree with the Enbridge objectives. I'm taking action to remove my money from any companies that fund it or are associated with Enbridge, like banks, credit unions, credit card companies, and the like. As we leave behind 2020 and move into 2021, my word for the year will be action. And I challenge you to also take some action to fight racism. You have the power to effectuate change with your resources, your voice, and your actions. Together, we can usher in the new year by helping to make a new world for all people and do our part to fight racism. Thank you.